All right, today I'm going to be presenting to you all about the Cayuga County Septic System Inspection Program. Let me click through. Okay, here's an overview of our agenda for today. I'm going to breeze through that. Overview of septic systems. So, according to EPA, a septic system is an underground wastewater treatment structure that uses a combination of natural and technological processes to treat wastewater from household plumbing produced by bathroom showers, kitchen drains, and laundry machines. The first step in the process of treating household wastewater is a septic tank, which accepts all of the wastewater that's plumbed to it, and it separates the solids from the liquids. The solids form a sludge layer on the bottom, and the liquids stay on top, and they kind of like decant, and they move their way to the leach field. And that's a leach field, a drain field, absorption area. They're kind of all one and the same. And the leach field distributes the water to be treated by the soil beneath the trenches. The water percolates through the soil, which is capable of treating all the way down to coliform bacteria, which would make you and I sick if we were to consume it. There are a whole handful of regulations and standards that we follow related to septic system design, operation, maintenance. The state and local regulations include the New York Code's Rules and Regulations, Title 10, Part 75. Specifically, Appendix 75A is what we use to ensure that all new septic systems are designed to the standard. And then also we have the Cayuga County Sanitary Code, Article 5, which pertains to the septic system inspection program, or just our septic system program in general. And then we have standards for design, construction, and maintenance and inspections. That would be the State Department of Health's Residential On-Site Wastewater Treatment System Design Handbook and the Cayuga County Health Department Wastewater Treatment System Inspection Protocol. So, history on the Cayuga County Sanitary Code. Back in 1965, the first Cayuga County Sanitary Code was adopted. It consisted of only 4 articles. And then in the 60s and 70s, there were a few different amendments. Oops. Unrelated to the septic system program. And then in 1994, there were a handful of amendments and eliminations. Article 3, which was the septic system article, was eliminated, and it was replaced with Article 5. And then in 1998, there was an Article 5 amendment to talk about the requirements for inspectors, like their qualifications. And then in 2003, there was additional amendment to talk about the schedule of how routinely people would need their septic systems inspected based on where they were located. And then right now, here is an outline of Article 5. We have 13 different sections to Article 5, introduction, definition, prohibitions, discharge permits, which relate to property transfer inspections. Whenever the property transfers in the county, there's an inspection requirement. And then we issue a permit to discharge, which would be the permit for the next person to use that system. And then we have construction requirements. We have a whole list of variances, which we're not going to get into today. And then there's a handful of different legally things that we have to follow.
Septage.
Septage is wastewater.
Yeah.
That's another word for wastewater. Okay, the importance of our inspection program. The program's goal is to minimize potential health hazards and protect surface and groundwater by ensuring septic systems located within Cayuga County are operating satisfactorily. As you can see, water treated by septic system recharges aquifers, it affects surface waters, and it can impact drinking water sources like wells. So you can see, you can ignore those little circles. I couldn't get rid of those on the EPA's website, but you can see that if the septic system is uphill or upstream of a residential drinking water well, water will flow towards the pumping in the well and get sucked up into the house. So we want to make sure that there's adequate treatment as to not make people sick. And then if a septic system is overflowing to the ground surface and a child is playing in it, and then they, let's say, go eat lunch or something, they can get bacteria in them and it can make them very sick. So that's the ensuring public health cost or part. All right, so our inspection program. About 45% of Cayuga County residents are served by septic systems, and the other 55% are served by public sewer and wastewater treatment plant. To ensure consistency and quality in our inspections, we require inspectors to be certified by our office. This includes an initial course, which is 2 days, an exam that they have to pass, and then they have to renew a certification every 2 years. Currently, we have 50 certified inspectors. We just recertified probably 40 of them and then gave another 10 their initial certification. They complete what is commonly referred to as a dye test, where fluorescent tracing dye is introduced into the fixtures around the house. Plumbing is checked to make sure that water is flowing into the septic tank, and then the areas around the property are observed to ensure dye is not surfacing anywhere, including over the leach field and ditches, waterways, drainage ways, etc. Inspectors use a 3-page form to complete their work. Some information includes the date the septic tank was last pumped, the number of bedrooms, if the house is occupied or not, if they have a holding tank, if they have a pump or an alarm, stuff like that. And then the second page gets more into the, have you noticed any changes in your absorption area? Is it really flourishing? Very super, super green? Are you having a lot of extra growth there? Is it spongy or wet? Have you noticed any changes? And characteristics related to how close you are to a lake, how close the nearest well is. Sometimes people like to drill a new well on their property, and commonly homes that are served by septic systems also have their own water supply and are not on public water. So they will do something dumb like drill a well 20 feet away from their leach field area, which is not good. We'd like 100-foot separation at minimum, up to 200 feet depending on where the well is in relation to the septic system. And then distance to waterways, property lines, etc. And then there's also the dye testing portion where it asks which fixtures were turned on and then which fixtures had dye introduced to them. We want to make sure that there's enough water and dye entering the septic tank so that it would end up in the leach field. So we want to make sure also the tank is full. That's why we asked the date last pumped. If it was pumped within the last 30 days, we'll likely decline to do the dye test, right, Val? And we'll come back.
Yes, we will.
And we
mess this up with your property transfer.
Yes, and we will and the inspector will come back after at least 30 days or truck in water to fill the tank to make sure that the water entering the tank is also then entering the leach field to ensure that the leach field is working properly. And then we have different protocols for a routine dye test, which would be every 7, 5, or 2 years, depending on where you're located. And a property transfer, which would be if you're selling your house. A property transfer inspection requires additional gallonage to be put into the system. We stress the system a little bit more to make sure that it doesn't, hopefully doesn't break or fail soon after someone purchases a property. And then we have, we won't go into the unoccupied. That one's a little complicated. So we make sure, or we don't make, yes, we make sure that things are operating the way they're supposed to, but we have to take into consideration that this is just a snapshot in time. A handful of times over the last several years, we have gotten calls within a year of a new person purchasing a property saying, oh my gosh, it was tested, even if it was an unoccupied 3-day property transfer inspection, and now my septic system isn't working. I want you to contact the previous owners, or you guys didn't do your job, or whatever it may be. Unfortunately, it's a snapshot in time. People can hide things. It's unfortunate reality of just living in society, I guess. Things fail and people do nefarious things. So we try to do our best to mitigate that, but more often than not, it seems to be serving its purpose. So Inspectors also fill out a third page, and the top portion is related to holding tanks, and then they pretty much do their summary. Is there evidence of wastewater discharge? Yes or no. Date of revisit, especially if there's a property transfer inspection, there's a revisit the next day or over 3 days to make sure that dye hasn't surfaced a little bit later in time, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time for water to continue to flow through the soils. And then, does the system pass inspection or not? And then we have a observations and a comment section. The inspector has to sign their name and then date it. And then we request that they fill out a sketch on the last page, which notes where the house is, where the tank is, where the distribution box is, and where the leach field is in relation to the house. Ditches, waterways, streams, the well, the neighbor's well. This is especially important if someone has made changes to their septic system since the last time it was inspected, to verify that it was built in the location that it was approved to be built. And then the inspectors, when the inspection is all complete and the form is all filled out, they have 30 days to get it back to our office. Unless it's a failure, then they have to notify our office within 1 business day via the phone, and then they have 10 days to submit the actual hard copy report or the email copy of the report. We accept things both electronically and in hard copy format now. It's very exciting. All right, here are common issues and solutions. So you can see here that this is a septic tank that is failing. Don't know exactly what kind of failure causes this, but probably it's not discharging into the leach field, and then it's backing up and there's no watertight seal around it. So the water is pooling around where the cover is. I'd say the number one failure item is a distribution box that is unlevel. So water will probably come in this way, and there's supposed to be what are called speed levelers in front of each of these pipes to make sure that there's the same reveal on each pipe and that there's the same volume of flow going to each lateral. I guess I kind of skipped over the different parts of a septic system, but does anyone need clarification on that? Tank, distribution, no you don't. Tank, distribution box, and leach field, which is usually a series of perforated pipes. Another common issue is that the distribution box gets unlevel. It kind of just falls out over time, and then one line is receiving a lot more water than other lines, and then it can cause a failure, because if you have 6 leach lines and only 2 of them are receiving, then that means that it's only operating at like 30% capacity essentially. Oh, here's a nice one. Wide waters. Well, wide waters. Just kidding. This is an image from the from the internet. So this is a common issue, especially on lakefront properties, where people don't know where their septic system is because they're renting the house out from someone else, and they decide to park their cars or their boats or their what are those things called, jet skis, and their trailers over top of a leach field, and then it busts the pipes, and then all of the water surfaces out of the ground. So the perforated pipe, the perforations point downward, so the water can't go up. But if it breaks, the water will go up, especially if someone is not cognizant about their water use, as many renters are not. Here is showing what it looks like when you try to reveal one of those pipes. This is probably a sewer pipe in between either the house and the tank or the tank and the distribution box. Let's see, other common issues are overloaded leach field, influence from a surface drain. So like if your gutters are emptying too close to your leach field, you're overloading and oversaturating those soils on top of the leach field. Excessive water use in the house, as I mentioned. And another common issue is a backup into a home from a tank that is not working properly. As embarrassing as this is to say, I didn't have to tell you guys, but I'm going to. About a year ago, I went down into my basement at my house, and it stank like a septic tank. And we do believe that we got it pumped same day, and we cost a lot of money. It's $500. We do believe that a chunk of the scum layer floated up, broke off and floated up. We only have a single compartment tank based on when my house was built. Floated up and blocked the outlet of the septic tank, so water was going in but wasn't able to get out, so it came back into the house. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I bleached the floor 3 times after I mopped it up to begin with. So all right.
Question on
Yes.
how often do you issue when like trees or whatever planted or encroach over the septic?
Yeah.
At my house, every several years, if I don't keep on it.
Yeah, that's one of the recommendations, is to not have anything planted within a certain distance of the leach field, usually 20 feet. We like to keep a good 20-foot buffer. However, please, if you have a septic system, do not plant a willow tree anywhere on your property. Willow trees actually can hear the vibrations of water flowing, and they will create a root system towards that. They love water. So don't do that, because I should have found a picture of a lateral that is completely encased, or not encased, filled up with roots, and even encased with roots, because it likes the water, and man, that's nutrient-rich water right there. So, it is not super common, but it's happened a handful of times over the last 3.5 years I've been looking at septic system failures. Yes?
With all of the extreme precipitation that we've been getting, are you seeing more problems with septics and, with the ground being overly saturated?
Sometimes, yes. It can be hard, especially over top of a leach field, for it to dry out after a big rain event. But if it's operating adequately, it should be able to uptake. I have very poor percolating soils at my house. Makes me very nervous. I think about this very often. It takes up a lot of my mental capacity. My 35-year-old leach field. It will stay soggy, but it should be able to also accept the water. So if you're having an issue of it just never drying out after a big rainfall or of a period of rainfall, you should definitely think about looking into that. So, okay, any other questions before I move on? We can take more at the end. So record keeping and documentation, we have over 17,000 septic systems in the county, so it's pretty important to keep good records. We are working on improving our system because everything was paper-based, and we're trying to get a little bit more electronic-based to both save time and save trees. We have they're probably the length of this table set, filing cabinets that are about 4 or 5 foot tall, butting up to one another, so it's 2 layers deep. So you got to walk around this little island in the middle of our office where we could put 4 more people, and that would be a lot better use of a space than paper. So we're working on a program, and this is one of them. This is the septic record locator. The link is at the top here if anyone wants it and are interested. If your septic system is being mapped, you can reach out and I'll send you the link. And this shows all the different locations. This is over on Duck Lake, I believe. All the green dots are areas where or parcels that we do have septic information on uploaded to the website. And red dots are where there is a 911 address, but we have not linked any records to yet. So this has been a huge lift up front because we had to scan all of those documents. We scan either the design plan or an inspection so that you can see where an inspection is. Val, I'm sure you use this on a very regular basis. It has decreased the call volume of inspectors reaching out to us for plans and us rescanning things all the time, probably by 75%. We do not get very many calls from inspectors now because we have been able to record locate probably 75% of our stuff at this point. We usually do it in the winter months leading up to the next inspection year. So we would have made sure Owasco Lake is due this year. Anything fronting Owasco Lake, we would have, if this was the first year since we started scanning, we would have done it from November to May. having someone essentially dedicated to marking paper files and then someone else scanning them and uploading them via address to this record locator. Let's see. And then every time there is a new plan for either a modification or an entirely new plan for an undeveloped parcel, once the construction is completed on that project, we will upload those files automatically to the septic record locator. So we're keeping it up to date as time goes on. And then some data about failing septic systems. So as I mentioned, this is information over the last 7 years. So every 7 years, you are due for a septic system inspection if you are located in what we consider a non-environmentally sensitive area. So that would be most parts of Sterling, Conquest, Ira, Cato, etc. Every 5 years, it's people within the Owasco Lake watershed. And then every 2 years, it's those fronting the Owasco Lake or Little Sodas Bay. However, in the last 15 years or so, I think everyone in the Little Sodas Bay fronting area is now on public sewer, and their wastewater is sent over to, I think, like Wolcott or Wayne County or something like that. So over the last 7 years, we've conducted over probably 17,000 inspections because every other year, a few hundred of them are renewed. Routine inspection failures, we've caught 56 failures over the last 7 years from routine inspections. Property transfer inspections are 29. We probably do 10, not even 10% of the number of property transfers as we do routine. So you can see our reward from the property transfer inspection program is much higher than our reward from the routine inspection program. So we're starting to look at data surrounding that to see if maybe we can fine tune our inspection program and the inspection frequency, but that would require changes to the sanitary code, which is county law, and so that is a whole process in itself. But we'll start looking into that soon. And then number of failures from complaints, 49. I'd say we get the vast majority of our, obviously not the vast majority, but a large portion of our failures are from neighbors calling. No one wants to walk out to their car every day to go to work and smell their neighbor's shit on the ground. So especially on the lakefront properties, they're packed in so tight there. We get a lot of complaints on people overusing septic systems out there. And that's for all the lakes, Skinny Atlas, Owasco, Lake Como. And then failures from our inspections, and when I see our inspections, I mean like a site visit. If Christina's going out to do a site visit for a modification, she's like, oh, this one's actually failing. And then we'll bump that up to the top of the list to review. And then mobile home park inspections, other facility inspections, restaurants that are on septic systems. We have found about 20 over the last 7 years that are failing, that they didn't reach out to us first. People sometimes self-report, but mostly not. All right. Best practices for maintenance of a septic system. A regular pumping schedule is key. New York State Department of Health recommends pumping every 2 to 3 years. I think that's a little excessive. We all know that New York State is a little, excessive with a lot of stuff. EPA recommends every 3 to 5 years, and that's what I generally tell people if they inquire about that. It depends on several factors: how big your tank is, how many bedrooms you have, what your water use looks like, how old your leach field is. It's not recommended to use any chemical additives, no Rid-X, nothing that says, oh, it's going to eat the scum in your septic tank. That throws off the biology of the system. So I recommend against using that. Septic systems are biological in nature, so it's part of the treatment process for there to be sludge. There is bacteria in your waste that works with what is in the septic tank already. No disposal of wipes, even ones labeled flushable. Paper towels, don't do that. Human waste, toilet paper, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Proper waste disposal practices. Just went over that one. Another big thing is efficient water use. If you have old fixtures, upgrade them to low flow fixtures. You can save, I think old toilets used to be 3 or 5 gallons per flush. Now they're 1.6 gallons per flush. You can usually get away with even less. Checking for leaky toilets, that can contribute a lot. A lot of people have issues with leaky toilets, just constantly running. We changed and usually a fix for that is less than an hour. You know, you change the flapper valve, or you just even readjust how the float is set in the back of your toilet. YouTube is a great resource for stuff like that. If anyone here can do it on their own, even if you have absolutely no knowledge about it. Yes.
This might be a silly question. Do you think, has anybody noticed if the days help, ensure?
There's probably not enough data in the US about that, but you can reach out to Europe and ask them, and maybe they'll know a little better. Toilet paper, probably. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something to look into. So.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is there any conversation afoot, and Seth, you might know the answer to this or have heard about it. Is there any conversation afoot about combining the data we have on STRs, short-term rentals like Airbnb and things like that, with this system data? Because as we all know, for some reason, a 2-bedroom house that we would have 4 people living in here is listed as 12 beds on those.
No, we don't have any data on it. At least our office doesn't. I think it's coming to light now that these are issues that need to be looked at. But it is up to the town. I mean, there is no records in a lot of these towns. There are no rules against it. So people are just doing it and no one even knows about
I
it.
guess as that regulation is coming out online in more and more of our communities, and particularly with waterfront, obviously locations are very popular for short-term rentals. I just wonder if there should be a recommendation that comes out of maybe this group or this board that says, as you're looking at, as they update zoning and looking at these, and it's a very popular topic, and the state has sent out a lot of information in the past 2 years, in particular to county and local planning boards to say, hey, these are the issues we're seeing around the state and starting to regulate them more.
Yeah.
Whether that's something that, whether it's, I mean, we're already inspecting the systems, but that is a significantly higher volume usually of usage than the buildings were built for.
Sure
originally.
is. Yeah, absolutely. And we actually look into this. So we look into property transfers after they've happened. And sometimes we'll note that, oh, you're listing your house as an 8-bedroom, but it's only designed for 3 bedrooms. That's like, and then you're advertising 8 bedrooms, sleeps 20.
Yes.
And this is not an exaggeration. There is a house listed on Skinny Atlas Lake right now as an 8-bedroom home when their septic system is 30 years old and only sized for 3 bedrooms.
Yep.
So people are going to be in for a rude awakening. I mean, I just happened to come across that because I was like, oh, a $2.3 million house for sale in Cayuga County, like what? And so I looked at it and I'm like, oh shit, like that's going to be a problem. So I don't know what the status of that house is, but we have in the past required people to change listings and not issued permits to discharge until it was listed as, until the owners or the buyers were aware that this is only sized for a 3-bedroom, and so you can't list it as a 5-bedroom. But yeah, I wish that there was more data on it, some sort of registration requirement for owners to provide information to renters, but I think that also enters a huge gray area of how much regulation are we going to put on people.
Yeah. Yep.
So it'd be interesting to see. Let's see. Okay, don't plant trees on or around your leach field, especially willows. I knew that was coming up at some point. Keep your drainage, sump outlets and gutters away from leach fields. That's a really big thing to prevent overloading, as I had mentioned before. The average lifespan of a septic system is anywhere from 25 to 30 years. We have some that have been operating without any issue, knock on wood to them, since the 1970s. So there's 50 years plus at that point. But it depends on several factors: water use, soil condition, percolation rate, health of the biological activity in the system, etc. New York State Department of Health offers a whole bunch of additional recommendations for operation and maintenance of a septic system, and can be found in their treatment handbook in chapter 12.
So there's no like magic additives that you can buy from Lowe's that helps your septic system break things down in there?
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay.
Or do you do it?
No, but I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I have gotten some of that stuff.
Yeah.
It breaks things down, so
As long as you are operating it and maintaining it, getting it pumped every 3 to 5 years, or more frequently if you'd like, then there shouldn't be an issue. Okay, 1 second. Questions?
I guess that's related to the additives. There was a presentation I saw at the Indian River Lakes Water Quality Conference, and it was about using aluminum in the as kind of a pump, adding a pump with aluminum in it, that it was supposed to help things settle and break down. But
Who said that?
would that be considered an additive? I would definitely have to check my notes. It was a presenter from New Jersey. He had kind of a private business, and he said he was using it in places throughout New Jersey.
He was probably making money off of it.
What's that?
He was probably making money off of it, is
Yeah.
probably why he was advertising it. No, I've never heard of anything about that. Maybe true, maybe not. Not in any of our standards or regulations have I heard anything about aluminum pumps
Yeah.
helping anything. I know that there are aluminum-based chemicals that are added in water treatment to help things flocculate and bind to one another so that they can settle out or float up off of the water, but not anything that I've ever heard about their use in septic systems. Any other questions? Yes, Adam.
Out of curiosity, for certified inspectors,
Mm-hmm.
are there any that create a full-fledged business out of this work, or for most people, is it a side hustle of sorts?
Vast majority side hustle. We even caveat everything every other year in our program that we run, our course. Don't quit your day job. This is not meant to be, this is a full-blown. But there are people that add it to a business that they already own, either pumping septic tanks or constructing septic systems.
Okay.
So a lot of our contractors are also certified inspectors, and they can do it all in one shot. So,
Another question for you.
yes.
Has Cayuga County had decent traction with the septic system replacement program?
Oh, yeah. Yes, we have been thrown hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we have, I think, completed over 50 projects that have been reimbursed by the state. There's I'm sure you guys all know, I've talked about it so many times, the replacement grant for lakefront properties, up to 50% reimbursable engineering and construction fees, up to $10,000 of a payout. Yeah, we've had a decent showing for it. They've just recently expanded the water body list, so we've got to send out notifications to those people on those expanded water bodies that they are now eligible. But yeah, it's been overall, I think, a success. A lot of people have operated things that are at the very end of their life and have prevented a failure potentially. And emergency repairs cost a lot more than repairs that are done routinely.
Thanks, Annie.
Yeah. Yes.
Other questions?
Go ahead.
I was wondering if you use this data to inform the septic rebate program, if you submit it to DEC or EFC, and they are
Which
able
data?
to use it to say, okay, based on the failures or the inspection reports, we want to fund this water body.
No, it seems to, at this point, have been totally up to DEC, since it's an EFC and DEC program, to decide which water bodies are eligible, that's the word, for the grant.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Hi, Annie.
Okay,
Hi,
thanks.
Raymond.
Oh,
Can you hear
yeah.
me?
Yeah, Ani, yep. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh,
Can you
sorry.
hear us?
Yes, yes. Just wondering if there's any oversight, third-party oversight, or any spot inspections on the inspectors themselves, or once they're certified, there's no other follow-up with them.
We review every single inspection that comes through the office. So we look at every inspection, and we even more heavily scrutinize the property transfer inspection. So it's not like the inspection's done, it's a pass and it gets filed away. It goes through a logging. It gets logged in our septic database, and then it's reviewed by one of our sanitarians or engineers for adequacy. We particularly look at the observations and we look to see if anyone has made changes to their septic system since it was inspected last. We catch a lot of violations that way of people making changes to their septic systems without approval, which is not allowed in our sanitary code. And then if we have any questions, we routinely follow up with inspectors. And if we feel that something is misrepresented, then we will take action for that. We have fined inspectors, we have kicked them out of the program, etc.
Okay, but there's no routine oversight of the inspectors.
Well, I mean, what do you mean routine oversight? Like us going to like audit their inspections?
Yeah, or if you guys ever show up during an inspection, or if it's just solely up to the inspectors.
No, it is solely up to the inspectors, but as I mentioned, we review every single inspection that passes through our office. So it's not like it's just up to them and there's no additional look on our end.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we just don't. Yeah, we don't have the manpower or the time to unfortunately go out there. We actually just lost one of our employee spots, so we have even less time now. So, anyone else online have any questions? No? Okay. Additional resources if anyone is interested.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I still don't think we have quorum.
Yes, we do.
We do?
Yeah, packing.
Oh, hi, Pat.
Hi.
Let me count again.
I think we're good. 1, 2,
Yep.
3, 4. Val, are you Doug's designee?
Sure.
Well, I mean officially.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, we have more than enough. Okay. Any announcements? Old business minutes. Take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Doug. Second. Thanks, Pat. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Presentation is done. Thank goodness. New business. Anyone have any new business to report? Okay. Committee reports, communication and outreach. Michelle or Doug?
Hi,
I'll let Ryan.
Oh, Ryan.
Ryan's in charge of the newsletter, so I'll
Oh,
let him.
This month I'm in charge of the newsletter, and hopefully I'm going to meet with Michelle after this meeting to talk about that a little bit more. I'm hoping that this month's newsletter is going to be focused so that we can see basically as the basically help the board of supervisors on policy decisions maybe related to the new wetland regs. I'm reaching out to someone on that at the state level. And so if anybody has any water policy related tidbits that they'd like included in the newsletter this month, please send them to me or Michelle. And then if there's anything else that you think is pertinent, please feel free to forward it on and we'll get that out.
When is the deadline to submit?
Whatever you think is appropriate, we'd like to get it out, I guess, before the end of the month, so maybe by the middle of the month, so how about within 10 days? So by the
10 business
15th,
days or
10 to
calendar
15th,
days?
the 15th of September, maybe the middle of the month. But of course, we're so flexible on the committee that if you need a couple extra days to give me something, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Invasive species?
I don't have anything new to report.
Nutrient and sediment.
Nothing to report.
Hey, we just ticked off one of our priority items for the year by me giving a presentation. All right, agency reports. We have seen an uptick in harmful algae activity on all of our Finger Lakes within the county. I don't see, no one here has any report for Skinny Atlas, so I'll go a little more into that. September or August 25th, really kicked off HAB season on Skinny Atlas Lake, which is right on par with what history has shown in terms of their HAB season. But they have really flourished over the last 10 days. So if you look at the HABs mapper, there are so many active blooms on Skinny Atlas. So be mindful if you're going out to recreate there. Owasco Lake has seen a very large uptick over the last 10 days as well, and Cayuga has thirdly also seen it. Obviously there is a season associated with HABs, and we are right in the middle of it for all of our Finger Lakes. So we have had a couple of reported illnesses related to people contacting HABs, like touching them. So it's real that people can get sick from it. I've seen multiple people with rashes associated with swimming through HABs. And with certain people it can cause respiratory distress as well if you're breathing in the air with particulates, cyanotoxin particulates in it. So be very mindful. We've gotten a huge influx of calls as well related to health effects for both humans and pets. So we are still in the process of updating our emergency response stuff related to if there's going to be a do not drink advisory. And City of Auburn and Town of Owasco are sampling Tuesdays and Thursdays at the moment for microcystin in raw water and also the finished filtered drinking water. So all of those data points can be found on our website within 12 hours of receiving the information. Kind of gave an update on the grant program. Let's see what else. I was so hard working on this presentation, I didn't even think about the update I was going to give. If I have anything, I'll just skip it for next month.
Yeah.
Any questions? All right, Parks Department.
Good morning, everybody. We have a number of our normal projects are going on. One thing that I did come across my desk the other day, and I don't know if any of the partner agencies are going, the National Marine Sanctuary dedication is tomorrow in Oswego. That's the newest National Marine Sanctuary that's off the Lakeshore and Lake Ontario of Wayne, Cayuga, and Oswego counties. So I don't know if someone from this board will be represented there. I don't think it will be me, but I don't know that. I don't know if we're sending anybody from the county either, so that may be the case. So that's be interesting to see. That is off, obviously, the lakeshore of the Sterling Nature Center. We actually hosted a NOAA meeting there about 2 weeks ago now, too. So that's nice.
I think Steve Lynch is attending.
Is he going?
When is it?
It's tomorrow at 11 in Oswego. So I did see that there, so that'd be good if we're represented. I kind of assumed Steve would be going, but I haven't spoken to him about it, so that's great. We just finished a test facility at the park. We put in about 6,000 square feet of permeable parking next to the Agricultural Museum. We have several areas that have been designated in the future as areas that we would like to have as overflow summer parking. Obviously, as you can imagine, a lot of our programming happens in the summer. So we have the ability to, we'd like to have the ability to have some flexible parking up there, but not have several thousand acres, or several hundred acres, I should say, of pavement and or other hardscape. So we worked with the Agricultural Commission Board. They supported about 50% of the cost of the project. We put in a product called TrueGrid. It's I think the panels are 3 foot by 3 foot. It's a cup style locking panel system that you can fill with anything. So we split it. We left a traffic lane. We filled that grid. It has an underlayment that has to be 8 to 10 inches of sand and stone mixed material so that it actually can permeate into the soil. And then the grid you can fill with anything from dirt and re-established lawn, which we did in what would be the parking bays, and then fill the traffic lane with gravel. Having the opportunity to, we're going to try that. We're going to run it for a couple years and see how it holds up. As I said, it's really a seasonal usage for us. According to the manufacturer, it can be plowed and all kinds of other things, so we'll test all those out and let you know how it goes. I'm a little skeptical, but I usually am with a lot of things that lay on the ground. we just abuse them, so. But it'll be interesting to see, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to start testing these technologies as we go down in the future. You know, the irony is our park usage here in the state and nationwide is way up since the pandemic, and that doesn't seem to have abated. It seems to continue, which is great. You know, we're doing more concert series, we're doing a lot more outdoor events, festivals, as many places are, so obviously parking becomes an issue. Also because a lot of our grass parking is there, and when you get 4 inches of rain on a Tuesday in July, it can make some of that problematic, and so we'd like to continue to do that. So we'll report back, and definitely next year, if not in the interim, to see how that system runs. There are many, many different manufacturers and many different systems. This is one that was just identified by our friends over at the Ag Commission, so we said, sure, we'll give it a try, and our partners at the Soil and Water Conservation District actually did the installation for us, which is great. So we'll report back. We'll see how it goes.
Quick question for you,
Yeah.
Doug. This is at Emerson Park, right?
Yep.
At this point, within the park itself, there's got to be a handful of those types of technologies that have been deployed, from FlexiPave at the upper pump station. I know some rain along the walkway
Yep.
out to the pier. Now this, maybe some others. I wonder if it would make any sense for us to partner with the county on developing some sort of information, public information document on these types of technologies, and use Emerson Park as kind of that guinea pig of sorts for these technologies and the display information for the public.
Absolutely. And we've talked about that briefly, about maybe some signage at the pump house, but we've also started to do, we did the buffer establishment around all of the, well, where we can, where we don't have riprap. We've done buffer establishment on some of the waterways within the park, coming back 20, 30, 50 feet if we can, and letting them revegetate and see how that develops. So we do have 4 or 5 different really test projects, if you will, or, you know, we've got some best practices that we're piloting right now to see how they go. So I think we probably have enough there to have a nice density of information. Aula has a sign up at the rain garden that has a QR code that you can scan to get some more information. So I think we probably have a good opportunity to expand that education program, both on site and something that probably lives online too would be good.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Onondaga County Safe the Rain program at all?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I have seen that.
I would look into that. They have so much public information available on their website.
As like a template for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be used as,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I have
And
seen that, but
almost all of that was developed by an engineering firm, all of the signage and stuff, so it's nice, it's professional, it's
good.
good for the public.
Yeah, it might be a good template to use.
Yeah.
Great.
Can I just have a follow-up question? Did you install the permeable paving?
I helped, yeah.
Yeah. Was there a significant amount of earth moving?
So they had to dig down, I think it was 8 inches, just to be able to put the right amount of sand fill in, so that way it could percolate through.
Okay.
But I think that was it. I believe we used some of the fill around the outsides. I don't know what happened to the rest of it. I think we put it with your guys'.
We took some of it because we just use it for fill, but a lot of it that was removed. For example, it's a sloped site, so a lot of it was moved on the upper end, was used on the lower end to take some of the slope out of the site to level it a little bit. So we were fortunate that we had a place to use it right there and didn't have to relocate. Not that we don't have locations to relocate it, because we do, but we actually used it on site. And it was only, the manufacturer's spec was only an 8-inch or so removal.
That's why I ask. It's interesting because a lot of different systems we see, sometimes the base is going down 12, 18 inches.
Oh, for sure.
With clean, washed stone and, a whole system, engineered system.
So when we looked at doing the boat launch that we have on site several years ago with, I think, maybe EJP or somebody, in the system that was there required almost a 30-inch recharge basin down below it. Then also downstream or outlet area, overflow area that was actually, you could use a grass waterway or some kind of bioretention below that. That had to do more with the proximity to the outlet. Where this system was, there is several hundred feet before you get to any drainage or ditch or things like that. So it's a moderate slope, the percolation was fine, and then there's also a lot of grass area where an overflow could really flow out, and there's no specific point of drainage for the system. It just, the whole system can actually flow out in 3 directions, if you will.
Yeah, super interesting. It's, it would be really cool to kind of compare and contrast those different systems.
But that was a far more extensive process right next to the Wasco River where the launch was. That was the under drainage that was required and the treatment that was required before you get to the waterway was far more extensive because of the site.
Yeah, yeah. Cool, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
Soil and water, Val, do you have anything?
Not really. I just wanted to say, because a lot of you are here that are attending conservation field days week after next at the park. So I'll be in touch with you guys too for some things. But just to say, it exists. For those of you who aren't aware, conservation field days is something that the Soil and Water District has done for over 30 years. We have 6th graders from around the county, actually every school, public school in the county coming this year. As we did last year, and we have them rotate through a series of trails and stations where they have different presenters, and as I said, a lot of people, public health is there, planning department, my friends at Extension have are doing a lot, thank you very much. So Jesse's going to be there, and we just have a lot of support from different agencies and individuals, and it's very, number one, let me say I pray for good weather, a lot. Two, it really is interesting because I have people who have gone to this and grow up and remember it, and then they work for us. So it's great, yes.
Do you know how many students are participating?
Over 700. Yeah, it's 2 days, it's 2 days, and they're only there for like 3 hours, to be honest, because attention spans, we all have short attention spans. But it's over 700 students. In past years, like I don't have, say, Red Creek, they're not in the county, but some of the students are. Sometimes I've had them in when we did it in past years, but I do have actually this year, everybody's school in this county. So, and Jordan Elbridge.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. If the weather holds, it's a lot of fun. Are you guys bringing your tent? Because that was a really good landmark.
Oh, definitely.
I love
Yeah.
it.
I'll make sure. I haven't been involved in the planning. I just said, yeah, Christina, do it again.
It was great. It was awesome. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody who does it. And Evan gets to do it this year too. Yeah. Sheriff's Department will be there. We have some ag people, Maple experience, and so I'm sure afterwards, if anybody wants to stop by the Maple experience, they will hand you out some maple syrup too.
Is Jim going again?
I think so. I got to talk to him. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Because that's really all I had on our, I mean, yes, we're doing a whole bunch of projects on different sites, doing our usual things, but I don't have the specifics that Doug had for talking points because he and I never quite connected before he left.
Kind of related to soil and water stuff that I'm sorry I didn't mention, and this isn't exactly water related, but it's waterborne. Mosquitoes, we're having a problem with mosquitoes in the county, testing positive for, or animals testing positive for Triple E, the Eastern Equine Encephalitis, which is almost always fatal disease for livestock, specifically horses. We've had 2 horses die in the county in the last couple weeks due to this, and then there has been a confirmed human case of West Nile virus in Wayne County, right by the Cayuga County line. So, fight the bite, it's our little slogan. Wear deep when you go outside, especially if you're going to be in areas that have marshy, wet areas. So, like if you're going up to Bear Swamp in Baldwinsville or up to Cicero, that whole place is a swamp. So protect yourself from mosquito bites because the diseases are around. And in New York State, to put into perspective, 11 people have tested positive since they surveilled for Triple E. 8 of those 11 have passed. So CDC reports that Triple E is, I should have looked it up, it's either 30% fatal or 60% fatal. I couldn't remember, it's 2/3, 1/3. I don't remember in which way, but still, even if it's just 30% of a fatality rate, that's still really, really high. And then West Nile virus, the last time we had a confirmed human case of West Nile in the county, that individual did die. So protect yourself, please. it makes less work for me.
Boy, there's gotta be a lot of it.
So, okay, solid waste yep, okay. I'm on a mission today to not skip anyone. Evan, go ahead.
I just have two things. The household hazardous waste event is a month from today. I think Michelle sent out the registration link, but it's on our website this year. So if anybody needs it, let me know. I can send it to you. It's open. People are signing up. I'm excited for it.
Is it only open to county residents?
Yes, only county residents. Yeah, 300 people, maybe 320, we'll see if it fills up. Yeah, we're requiring people to bring like a driver's license, form of ID, just to prove that they're a county resident. Yeah. The other thing, the local solid waste management plan has some momentum again. We received all of our comments from the DEC. There's about 22 comments. So I'm just working on fixing those identified deficiencies, and then should be on track to put a resolution forward to the legislature in October to adopt it. So hopefully by the end of the year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Evan. Cornell Cooperative.
Hi, Dan asked me to give a brief report. I guess that in the past, the 4-H animal fair was pretty successful this year. Down at the Union Springs. Were you there? Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. And I think it was pretty successful for all the young people. Looking forward, we have a couple events coming up. Namely, September 11th is the Managing Your Forest event that I'm hosting in concert with the New York State DEC and the Cornell Arnott Forest. We're trying to encourage people to adopt and get forest management plans. They're certainly related to water quality in a lot of different ways. We find that in Cayuga County and in Seneca County, many people do not have a forest management plan, less than 10%. And so we're trying to make a push for that and encourage people to join the Master Forest Owners Program, which is kind of like Master Gardener Program. It's a peer-to-peer, neighbor-to-neighbor, where people are helping their neighbors identify forest management objectives. As a forester, I'm very near and dear to my heart. But that's going to be September 11th in Vince's Park. And I chose that location because it's kind of close to the Cayuga-Seneca border. So that's happening next week. Thank you, Michelle, for sending that out to everybody. I appreciate that a lot. And then this year, the Cayuga CCE annual meeting is going to be October 24th. It's a Thursday at 6 o'clock at the Senate Fire Department. And everybody, all Cayuga County residents are invited to that. And it's important we try to make a push to really get people involved in attending that annual meeting so that we can get numbers of people, try to get the word out. So if you have time, you're cordially invited by Cornell Cooperative Extension to attend the annual meeting on Thursday, October 24th at 6 p.m. at the Senate Fire Department. Any questions? You can kind of reach out to me or most likely Dan Welch for that.
I have a question about the forest thing. Is there like a minimum amount of acreage that you consider a forest?
Yeah, so the DEC Region 8 Forester Bryce June will be presenting there. So one of the great things about New York State is obviously living in the forest, but depending on your small parcels, we call them small parcels, right? The minimum acreage size, I believe, is 5 acres to receive a free, I should say cost-free, nothing's free, right? But as a cost-free to the resident forest stewardship management plan through the New York State DEC. I could be wrong about that, so, but if I'm wrong, I'll send an email. But generally speaking, that means that any person owns or owns more than 5 acres in New York State. The federal government sends money down through the stewardship forestry line that pays people to develop a management plan. And that management plan is all dependent on landowner objectives, right? So anybody that owns that land is entitled to that right. One free visit through the New York State DEC, and they will develop a forest management plan for you, which benefits you for identifying your priorities, right? But also, if you're interested in cost share programs, like through many of the different partners, sometimes they will require you to have a forest management plan, and that satisfies that, right? So it's really, I'm trying to get the word out. Generally speaking, the DEC foresters are not super hyped that I'm pitching their free service all the time, but actually I have a really good relationship with the Region 8 person, and they are grateful to get people involved in the program, because forest products in this state, we're talking about almost $8 billion industry, that adds to our, and there's a lot of issues impacting invasive species, forest dynamics, forest regeneration with white-tailed deer overabundance, just crushing all the saplings. And it's just like, for me as a forester, it's like it's a sense of urgency, So, but people can manage their forest for as small as the parcel is, right? And so we're going to have a topic, best management practices for small parcels as part of the event.
Cool. Yeah, I'm interested in that. I have 5 acres, about 3.5 of which is a forest.
So you're exactly the person that we're looking to kind of reach out to help you, because yes, there's a significant amount of forested land there, right? Like, as you know.
But it's part of a probably 500-acre forest that goes onto other people's parcels. So. Yeah.
So and we just continue to see the larger parcels get cut up and dissected over time and time again. So it's important to try to everybody to manage the forest. So thanks for your interest. Please.
I wish I had time. I can't go next week.
No, but let me help you.
Yes, I will be in contact.
Let me help you
for
besides
sure.
that.
Yeah.
There's a Region 7, one of the new foresters from Region 7 is going to be at Field Days, and so track her down.
I'm not going to be in town that week.
Well, fine.
I'm at a conference Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so keep it on our own.
Yeah, track her down.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions for Ryan before we move on? Seth?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Happy to be here. It's been a while. I feel like it's been most of the summer. I hope everybody had a great summer. We're back to school for many of us. So Auburn's been very busy over the past summer on many different fronts related to water quality. Our biosolids project is at our wastewater treatment plant is well underway. We're in the process right now of developing a design concept for our overflow retention facility improvements, which is really what scored us the grant points to have now over $35 million in state and federal grants for this project. And we're hopeful to wrap up that design by December, January of this year, early next year, and may offer it as a change order to our existing contract, where we have digesters going up right now for biosolids management, biosolids reduction. Our dryer facility, the building is, the outline of the building is certainly there. The structure, masonry structure is up, and the steel is being placed as I speak. And that will take our biosolids from around 7,600 tons per year hauled to the landfill at just over $1.5 million a year, down to 1,000 tons of biosolids a year that can be beneficially reused. We hope. We're closely watching PFAS regulations as they roll out and beginning to do analysis and sampling of our own on that at the wastewater plant. We're busy with grants, both writing and starting to progress some projects that were recently funded. We just wrote 2 different grants that hopefully come through for our CSO project and sewer separation work within the city of Auburn. That would be a fantastic water quality improvement project. If we can get a little bit of help from New York State to help us see that through. Our 3 dams are in the process of getting their 10-year independent engineering assessments completed. So at State Dam, Mill Street, and North Division Street, those three structures are being evaluated for their structural integrity by an independent firm in accordance with DEC regulations. And we also have Federal Energy Regulatory Commission regulations on Mill Street and North Division Street because we produce hydroelectric power at those two dam sites. We're just signing the agreement with the state on our non-point non-ag sub-watershed assessment project. So looking forward to writing an RFP to acquire a consultant to assist us with kind of hopefully laying the foundation, the framework of an assessment of the Owasco Lake sub-watershed, which is Sucker, Van Ness Brook, and then all of the small feeder streams that are basically in and around all of the fire lanes of Owasco Lake, to kind of set forth an implementation schedule and potential further funding so that we can do actual work within that sub-watershed based on the recommendations of that report. You know, the city decided to take that on as a project, largely because the management council could not do that work because the funds from the state, in often cases for water quality improvements, go to either municipalities or to the soil and water conservation districts. And funding mechanisms are not really strongly supported or there from the state or federal government to go to not-for-profits. So hoping to work closely with Adam and his team on that project as we start to kick that off. Last but not least, the summer has been very busy for us with respect to engaging in conversations with every single one of our water customers. So not just the customers that we serve within the city of Auburn, but also those municipalities that purchase water from the city of Auburn for drinking and then wheel that water to another municipality and then another municipality. We're trying to engage that entire district, that Central Auburn drinking water district, in an effort to bring ourselves together a little bit, understand what our individual challenges are as a whole, develop fair and equitable cost of service associated with water. So there's a big part of this will be a financial review of not only what the cost for customers for water should be from the city of Auburn to a wholesale connection point, but then potentially what a standardized approach to wheeling water to the next person. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, I think, within the county as a whole from customers and how much do I pay for my water, and the way people pay for drinking water or sewer service is different depending on their districts and how they were formed, and trying to cut through all of that and get it put into a format that's the same across our water system. So far, it's been good. It's been a engaging and I think fairly positive conversation with our local leaders on that. And I'm really hopeful that will continue to foster relationships and build a better, more united front when it comes to our system as a whole, rather than looking at it as a compartmentalized each town, village, or district. So we'll see how that goes. And with that, I have to leave. I apologize.
Oh, okay. I notice.
I'm
Great update,
I'm
though.
15 minutes late already.
That's
so-
okay. Thank you for staying. That was a
Yes.
very good update.
Any questions?
Keep them to yourself. Okay, Thank you so much, Steph.
Good to be here.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you guys. Have a great day.
I don't think I see Ed here at all. Town of Wasco. Okay, we'll move on. Lake Association reports. Cayuga Lake. Okay, Cross Lake, Seneca River.
Wait.
Oh,
Liz is,
I'm sorry, I didn't see all the people online. Cayuga Lake.
Liz.
Still don't see her.
Liz.
Oh, Liz is here?
Okay.
Okay. Liz, do you have anything to report out?
Or Roxy?
I don't see Roxy on there.
She's RJ.
Oh,
I'm here. Liz is gonna go first.
no, Liz, we can't hear you. Roxy, you want to go first then, or do you work off of me?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me find myself here. Okay, so, excuse me. So I guess I was gonna start out with a hydrilla update. I think you guys are aware that the funding is getting reduced next year, the federal funding, and in 2026 there won't be any federal funding. So the New York State DEC will have to pick up the cost, and they don't really have a plan for that right now. So at the local level here at the coming Water Resources Council meeting, we're going to discuss ways to try and get that message out and seek funding so that we can continue effective treatment. And we're going to have speakers from DEC and Army Corps there to talk about the treatment project in general and the funding crunch that's coming up. So that meeting will be September 15th. It's 4:15 to 5:30, and it's Zoom only. If you need a link, let me know. I think Michelle gets them too, though, I think. Also on hydrilla, there have been some recent concerns raised about the decision-making process and how that has changed over time, largely due to the fact that the local task force used to take the lead with soil and water at the helm. And now, for a number of years now, it's been Army Corps and DEC, and so things have shifted a bit. And part of the concern is around toxicity, but with a new kind of wrinkle, looking at PFAS, because PFAS, it turns out, are in a lot of pesticides. But knowing that doesn't tell you the relative impact. So we need a lot more information to determine the cost benefits of that kind of contaminant, which no one likes, but also hydrilla and the risks involved with that. So we're going to look at that. Liz and I already talked about, it's an opportunity to do some updated outreach on that. She'll probably say more about that. And I guess today there's a news article in the Ithaca Times, which might cause a little bit of a wrinkle for folks to have to respond to that before we have complete information out there. So I'll let her revisit that later when she starts. Move on to Clio stuff. So we've been working on for a little over a year now, this multi-municipality ditch assessment project with Seneca County. So Seneca and Cayuga Lake municipalities are involved in that, working with Ian Smith. That's getting quite a bit down the road on completion. So the inventory and assessment, once it's done, will be used to pursue implementation funds for prioritized projects. And there's been interest from other municipalities in the Cayuga Lake watershed to try and repeat that. So that's definitely an opportunity for cross watershed boundary work with Cayuga Lake and Owasco Lake within Cayuga County, possibly more. But we would need staff support from the other watershed to help do the surveying and create that inventory. So I know Owasco Lake has that kind of staff support potential. I don't know about some of the other watersheds. So Ian Smith is going to give a report on this project at the next CLIO meeting, which will be September 25th. from 3 to 5 p.m. with an hour following for social time. There'll be some food. There's nice trails. We're going to be at Liz Kreitinger's new home there for the network at the Cayuga Nature Center at 1420 Taganek Boulevard. So September 25th, 3 to 5 or 6 with food. Come and have fun. Isaac today is trying to put the finishing touches on a Great Lakes Restoration Initiative grant for in riparian areas. Again, this is a couple different municipalities in Seneca County across the 2 watersheds that'll be part of this. I think part of it is going to be along the Seneca Canal. It's a no-cost grant, so it's also kind of a no-brainer, so that'll be good. There's some new DOS funding opportunities out, looking at more like climate change and resilience, but the details aren't out on cost minimums, but it looks like there'll be high minimums. So it might take some developing some larger projects. They'll probably need engineering, and these funds are mostly geared at implementation right now. Or we would need to bundle together a bunch of small non-engineering projects and submit them as a package. And so we don't have enough information yet. Right now, we're not pursuing that as a first step now. We would likely look for people who want to do larger projects and submit planning grants to develop the engineering, and then follow up the next year to these funding sources for implementation grants. We'll keep you updated as that moves along. At our last meeting, we had a resolution of appreciation for Liz Thomas, who was our chair for 3 years and did just a ton of work for CUIO. So I just wanted to share that honor. And then even more recently, jointly with the network, Tian Hunter, the previous chair for CUIO, and municipal town board rep and clerk and supporter of municipalities on many fronts, received the network's Dave Morehouse Award. So that was a really exciting event. Our current initiative, which I should complete today, is that we have a letter, a response to the state regarding their determination to stop reviewing the Owasco Lake watershed rules and regs. We approved the letter at our last meeting. Like I said, I hope it goes out today. Once it's done, I'll share a copy so that anyone who wants that can have it. The focus of the letter is on the lack of consistency from the state for reviewing watershed rules and reg update applications. You know, it's okay for some water bodies to have it and not for Owasco. The lack of transparency in the process and the lack of data supporting the state's conclusions that existing approaches are effective. Another sort of joint effort is the Water Resources Council, the network, and CUIO are all looking at those freshwater wetlands regulation changes. I think someone mentioned that earlier. And again, this is Liz will have the lead on this, but they're looking at some possible funding mechanisms to move soil and water projects or others forward, much like ALA does and SWIO does. And there might be some synergies there where CUIO can partner and help out with that. That's all I have.
Thanks, Roxy. How about
Yep.
Liz? Were you able to figure out?
Yep. Yeah, can you guys
Okay.
hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was terrible timing for my audio to completely fail. But did Roxy talk about harmful algal blooms at all?
No,
No.
but I mentioned them, but go ahead.
Yeah, just to reiterate that over the last 2 weeks, we've had a lot of harmful algal blooms reported on Cayuga Lake. There were over 20 the last 10-14 days or so, and about half of those were along the Cayuga County shoreline. And all were confirmed harmful algal blooms based on microscopy from the Community Science Institute. And at least one in Aurora did have the microcystin toxins over the recreational limit. Last Friday, we sent, the network sent out our final weekly Harmful Algal Blooms newsletter. So it's a public facing email for 2024, but the Community Science Institute's HABS database will continue to be updated with reports as they come in through the end of the monitoring season. And I'm really pleased to report that the subscribers to our weekly HABS news has increased by 70% in the last year. So there's a lot of folks who are looking for this information. And so we'll continue that next year as the program picks back up. The Cayuga Lake Watershed Network had our annual meeting and picnic at the Apple Station Winery last Thursday, and over 60 folks attended there. So that's in Cayuga, Union Springs area. We're really excited to see this increasing engagement and attendance to that and our other programs. Let's see. And then I think I heard a little bit that Roxy covered some of the hydrilla communication and outreach that's needed. So we're going to be following up on that. And I think Sam Beck-Anderson may have, I'm not sure if he's in the room today or if this was reported at the last meeting, but Tompkins County Soil and Water and the PRISM did find water chestnut in the Cayuga Inlet in the last few months, and they were able to pull and dispose of over 175 pounds of it. So I'm sure that will be, we'll keep an eye out for that next year as well with those partners.
Okay, thank you both.
Thanks.
All right, Cross Lake, Seneca River, not seeing that. Duck Lake.
No.
Lake Como, Pat.
Yeah, well, things are.
Let's also try to keep this, we're already at 11:30.
All right.
And I've got to leave in 15 minutes, so.
All right, we, as I reported a couple months ago, we did get the plant survey done on our lake by Solitude. And I've been in contact with both Solitude and DEC. Solitude submitted the paperwork for our wetland permit, and DEC has responded, they've gotten it. They're looking at it. Hopefully this fall we'll have a permit in place that'll last us for 5 years so we can start treating our lake next spring. I want to thank Soil and Water, when the weed harvester came, we got the new weed harvester on our lake this summer, and the guy actually stayed almost a week. Did a fantastic job. People were very happy with what he did. And with that, and with our own weed harvester, we've got a number of people trained how to use it, and spent a lot of time this summer cutting a lot of weeds around the middle of the lake where the county will do, and along the shorelines. And we're probably going to take it out the next week or so, and have some more repairs done on it because they keep breaking down. I was talking to the guy with Soil and Water. He said the brand new one, he was having, that's why it was there so long. They were having trouble with things breaking, the same things we are, breaking down all the time. We had our annual meeting, end of summer meeting last Saturday. We had about 25 people there. We had quite a heated discussion because we had one member who wanted to bring up try to put up a resolution of abandon trying to treat the lake chemically and just use the weed harvester, and we had a very heated discussion. Not heated, but a very good discussion, I think. And finally brought it to a vote, and overwhelmingly people wanted to do both the weed harvester and the chemical treatment. So we passed that because I was worried that was going to hold us up for everything. We had some real controversy over it, but 90%, 95% of the people are in favor of it. The water level's still high for the beavers, but we're all living with it. People this past rain really didn't flood too badly, so we're hanging in there. Everybody's starting to wrap things up for the summer.
Okay, sampling program update. Do you have an update on that?
On the phosphorus,
yeah.
They were there in August, I believe. They took another sample on the 3 sites that they put permanent sites in, and they came to my house and they hand drilled a well, a pipe down about 10 or 15 feet, took some sample of my house. I don't have the results yet, they had just, I talked to them the day they were there,
Okay.
and they were gonna put something out. I did hear that, one of the sites across the lake, it's, where the house is, behind them is farmland up the uphill from them. And they did put in a well, or a test site above the septic tank, and there's a control and one below it, and we're interested to see, because the girl who lives in the house is very concerned, is there phosphorus coming off the farmland down? But so far, they haven't seen any significant, amount. There's some, but not a lot. So I'm waiting, I'm interested to see over time if they show that there is phosphorus coming off the farmland. But hopefully, I think they're gonna try and come back like every couple of months. And they got it down so they can come back and run it in, do the sampling, and then, take the water hole and sample it. Hopefully it'll be on the website sometime.
I know, I hope so. Haven't heard much from them myself, so that's why I asked, but okay. Okay, thank you so much, Pat. Anyone for Little Sodas Bay? Owasco Lake?
Yes, thank you. Excellent presentation.
Oh, thank you.
It was very good to hear about all that. I think so much is septic system and impermeable soil when we look at what's happening in Marshall. But within Ella, as a volunteer group, this coming Saturday, we are partnering with Tomato Fest for free boat rides out on Owasco Lake, weather permitting. Put your rosaries out for that. We'll be helping with conservation field days. We do enjoy getting out. It's fun to have a day out. On the 18th, it's a Wednesday, Senator May is our guest speaker for our AULA monthly board meeting. And we are trying a different dynamic where we will have this in person at Dutch Hollow Country Club. So folks are coming early for a little bite to eat, and then our presentation with the senator, and then our board meeting will follow. I wanted to mention on HABs, it's been brought up a couple times. It appears that there's been so many reports, there's a delay in getting information out, so it's not as timely as we'd hoped. This is with the DEC site. I know I saw 3 on Tuesday when I was doing my monitoring, and I made those reports, and they're not listed yet. So there's a bit there, but there's just been so much going on. During the summer, we have been busy, as Ryan mentioned, putting together comments in the freshwater wetlands at the water quality piece, as well as through the Finger Lakes Regional Watershed Alliance. We were asked to talk about DEC's Finger Lakes Action Agenda that is out and about for the next 10 years. So all in all, our little group of volunteers are staying busy. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. Just to piggyback on the DEC HAB site, Cayuga Lake was also experiencing difficulties with that. Specifically CSI were reporting things that were ending up being excluded due to error in how it was being inputted. But DEC has told me that the map is only updated daily, and it goes live around 11 a.m. the following day. So maybe, but if you inputted it on Tuesday,
I did, yes.
It should have shown up Wednesday at 11.
Yeah.
So you'll have to go look and see.
Thanks. Okay.
Today, but just for public information. Okay, thank you so much. Skinny Atlas Lake? Frank or Patty or both?
I can, if you can hear me all right, I'll fill in. Like was mentioned quickly, we've had a lot of HABs. Usually we start in September. This year we started in July, and approximately about 12 HABs, and they've come all the way down the east side, approximately half, and that's quite a bit. We hosted at the end of the lake the announcement of the Finger Lakes Clean Water grant. We've also, at our last meeting last week, approved an additional $15,000 to the 2024 hemlock treatment, so we can get that done this fall. There's been over 3,400 boats surveyed as to July 16th, at the boat launches. At least 315 mats have been deployed on the lake. We've got about half a dozen milfoil surveys out today. To date, including today, and hosted technology and hab monitoring on the 3rd at St. James. And I think Frank's on, and if he wants to add any more, I'll turn over to him.
Thanks, Patty. It took me a while to find the camera and mute button. Yeah, so just on the algal blooms, our first one was July 29th, and then we had some more activity on August 1st, and then from August 24th through the 29th, that Saturday through Thursday, were continual for 6 days in a row of reports that are on the NIHABs. Then we had another day on September 3rd and more reports yesterday on the 4th. The winds are up currently, so it doesn't look too active today, but we've had 10 days active in total on my count. For that, 8 were in Cayuga County, and 5 of those 8 in Cayuga County were all on August 29th, which seemed to be the most active day in that region. It's definitely a testament, similar to what Liz was saying. We are seeing that it is great to see there's a lot more public reports. We do have robust about 30 volunteers throughout the lake, so we do have a lot of observation bias showing these reports, but the good news is that the information's flowing, and we're working hard on getting communications out to have folks be on alert and understand what these look like and the dangers associated with them. Milfoil control, Patty mentioned. The survey is, we're about halfway done for the circumscribing the lake on our milfoil survey runs to look for where are we seeing things for the future. We're seeing a lot more curly leaf pondweed. Would love to talk with our aquatic plant experts of, is this indicative of this warm, mild winter season where the curly leaf pondweed took hold first before the milfoil, asking those types of questions. We're also seeing great success in our 6 acres of matting that's been deployed to control the milfoil, that we did find 6 acres plus even more that we still have that use for the matting to take care of that. And we're starting to pull the matting up. On improvement projects, working with Onondaga County and Aaron McKeon with Central Regional Plan Development Board for some WQIP funding implementation. So we're just getting started in the process of the logistics for that, for a property owners road association type project that includes 2 water courses. Patty mentioned we approved an additional $15,000 for the hemlocks. We went through the initial $25,000 that we budgeted through the legacy fund. And the majority of that, actually all of that 25,000 was Cayuga County related, around Hooker Ravine. And Patty, did you mention we've got new leadership? We have Dr. Dana Hall is stepping up as our incoming president, or now our new president for the board. Dr. Paul Teresi is still active with the board, focusing on our fundraising efforts and other areas too, still very much active. Dr. Buzz Roberts, our vice president, is still going to be focused on the Finger Lakes Regional Watershed Alliance and a lot of the invasive species prevention and hemlock programs. And we have Buzz is our former vice president, and Dr. Jim Tift has come in as our new vice president. Patty, thank you for your continued service. Patty's on to continue as our board secretary. And then we also have Rich Hole as our treasurer, amongst some new chairs to some new leadership. So that's just been some shift there, and we're excited to keep stirring the pot and moving ahead. A couple events coming up that most folks might know about is the September 13th Central New York Regional New York State Federation of Lake Associations Conference. That's at Little York. I believe registration is still open. And if folks are interested, maybe I think maybe Michelle might have the link and can get that out, or certainly email me too. And then October 9th at the Lodge in Skaneateles, Dr. Greg Boyer and some others will be speaking about algal blooms, and that'll be at 7 o'clock at the Lodge in Skaneateles, October 9th. Did I miss anything, Patty, or create any other questions for anybody? That's about all I have, other than we're looking at maybe starting some citizen science turbidity sampling in the future too, on water courses and around the watershed.
Okay, thank you both.
Great.
Aaron.
Thanks.
Hi, thanks everybody. Just real quick, I'll say my big thing has been getting a revised version of the Skaneateles 9-element plan together. So we prepared an initial version to go over to the state for comment back in the spring. We got sort of what you might call a robust set of comments back. And just now putting kind of the finishing touches on a second version of that 9-element plan to go back to the state for their review and comment. Of course, we did our third public meeting back in May based on an initial public draft. So we got some public comments on that. So, really we're kind of in the home stretch theoretically. But that's about it. Yeah, for us, at least in the Skaneateles, Cayuga area.
Thank you so much, Aaron. All right, Great Lakes program.
I have updates from the Finger Lakes Hub as well that Tony asked me to share, and Lexi as well. But I'll start with Great Lakes program updates. We are going to be planning our next round of Great Lakes Action Agenda sub-basin work group meetings, likely in the Syracuse area. We're looking at locations, but early November are kind of the dates we're looking into. If you have any thoughts, if you would like to share, any kind of special project updates, or no updates we might want to avoid, feel free to reach out, and help with some of that planning. The other update I'll mention is the upcoming Great Lakes Coastal Assembly, Great Lakes Coastal Symposium, which is going to be held in Rochester from October 7th through 9th. And there's a couple of Great Lakes program presentations. I'm going to be presenting on the Great Lakes Ecosystem Education Exchange and Day in the Life, advancing environmental education outcomes in New York's Great Lakes Basin, and also on the Sterling Walcott Integrated Watershed Action Plan in coordination with Tony Alenardo from Ramble. And we also have Lexi Davis, who's going to be presenting on the baseline conditions characterization progress for the Great Lakes subbasins. That should be, really interesting. We've had some interns working on that and are coming up with some really, really neat outreach figures to share some of the current conditions in the Great Lakes Basin. A colleague of mine is also, David Clark, is also presenting on some of the Lake Ontario sediment analysis research that they've started working on with Ramble. And there's going to be lots of other great presentations. So, that I think would be relevant to Cayuga Lake, what shoreline managers, property owners, and any others interested. So I'd encourage you to register if you haven't. I do want to say that we have the Great Lakes Ecosystem Education Exchange Teacher Workshop in coordination with Sea Grant at Fairhaven Beach State Park this past August. We had really great attendance from teachers. I think one of the really cool highlights of this workshop was that Shannon Seneca, who teaches Indigenous perspectives or Indigenous studies at University of Buffalo, came out and shared some very powerful messaging with us about our relationship with the lands. And I thought that was that was really great. Teachers really enjoyed it. We also had Judy Levin talking about Lake Ontario satias, which aren't as prominent as Lake Erie, but they are happening. You know, and we had 15 teachers in attendance, so really, really great. We are continuing to work on the Sterling Walcott Integrated Watershed Action Plan. We hope to get that report out soon. Just have had some delays, but you know, that's coming along, and we're getting some really great recommendations and key findings that we're looking forward to sharing. There's funding available from NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, right now that's due October 28th for Great Lakes fish habitat restoration. If you have, you know, in-stream habitat, you know, restoration or dam removals or other fish habitat restoration opportunities that you're considering, that would be a great grant to check out. We've been working with Tug Hill Commission and the New York State Association of Conservation Councils on planning for the conference on the environment that's going to be held September 18th through 20th. And we've got some DEC presentations like our Office of Environmental Justice and the 30 by 30 initiative. The NYSERD is presenting on the 70 by 30 initiative. So part of it's virtual and part of it's kind of in-person field trips and social networking kind of opportunities. So I would encourage you to check that out. In terms of the Finger Lakes program, I hope many of you saw that Governor Kathy Hochul announced that there's going to be $42 million to protect and enhance water quality in the Eastern Finger Lakes under the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition, which includes Cayuga County and 10 other soil and water conservation districts. And key initiatives under this funding are going to include agricultural environmental management, enhancing flood resilience through stream bank stabilization, bolstering cover crop adoption, and supporting nutrient reduction strategies. And then other DEC announcements. I hope you've seen the Regenerate New York Cost Share Grant is available for forest landowners. This is anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 for projects such as planting trees, soil scarification, removing competing or invasive vegetation, and installing deer fencing to help regenerate forests. That's going to be due by November 6th. I'm sure Ryan is going to have some DEC folks talking about that program at the upcoming workshop. And then the freshwater wetland regulations, reminder that they're taking public comments through September 19th. There's going to be some virtual public hearings September 10th and September 12th. They're virtual in-person meetings, and you know, comments can be submitted, and I would encourage you to check that out.
Thank you.
That's all I got. If you have other questions about other things, Tony, encourage folks to get in touch with him, Tony Presta Giacomo.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, we really got to breeze through here, guys. Sorry. No one for PRISM or anything, right? No. All right, Watershed Management Council. I think that's it. So Adam, take it away.
Good morning. We're well over time, so I won't provide updates on our programs and projects. I know it's a real shame, but most importantly, I would like to introduce Jesse Lloyd. He's our new watershed inspector for our watershed inspection division, and he's been with us for almost a month now. Yeah. So please provide a warm welcome to Jesse. And
not really, you know, my name's Jesse Lloyd, picking up where Abby High left off. You know, our mission statement is basically to protect water quality in the watershed. We do other stuff. I'm going to be working with Michelle at Conservation Days, working on with Ed Wagner up at Fillmore Nature Preserve, getting that put together. It's going to be really nice. Encourage people to get up there when they get a chance. It's actually right over by Lake Como. That's basically it.
Thanks. Are you sure you don't want to give anything, Adam? You can hold it till next time?
I can hold it.
Okay, thanks. All right.
It, thank you.
Greg was here, but he left. And then Sea Grant, we're just going to breeze over that one. We already heard about Sea Grant a little bit earlier. So, all right, do I have a motion?
Before you do, because we have a minute,
No, we don't. We're actually 23 minutes
Oh,
over
we are?
time. Yes.
Oh, there was a biochar event that Adam covered, and I encourage you to look at
That sounds awesome.
the records.
I like biochar.
It's happening, and there's on site at Spruce Haven Farm. If you're interested in that, you can go check it out.
That was awesome.
Thanks for that, Ryan.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
All right, I'll second. Am I allowed to?
Sure.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, carries. Bye.
Just so everybody know, the next meeting will be at Sterling Nature Center.
Oh my gosh.